Hi guys, and welcome to my YouTube channel, and today we're going to talk about this fabulous photograph of Playboy Playmate Carrie Stevens. So it just so happened that Carrie and I were working on a project together, and it was for the Van Halen store. Yes, that's Van Halen, the rock band. And after the shoot, I asked her if she was interested in doing another one of my bunny ideas. And this particular idea I wanted to do a little bit differently. I wanted to have a black background. Now the outfit itself had some black in it, so in order to be able to get some separation between her and the background, I needed to rim light her. And the way I did this was I placed two strip lights that were slightly behind her, and that would add the light around her, silhouette her if you like, and make her separate away from the black background. And you can see in this picture here how it separates her. Now you can also see in this picture that I added some blue gels to those strip lights. I wanted to get sort of a little more rock and roll, and I thought blue was more rock and roll-ish, so this is kind of a rock and roll bunny thing. Anyway, so that's how I did it, and you can now see a little bit of how I photoshopped and used a filter on this idea. Now there's a couple of things I can see. I can see that there's not enough space on this side, but there's more space on this side, so we're going to center her in a little while. And the first thing we're going to do now, since we're in Photoshop, is we're going to take a quick look at these areas here, and we can see that there are some areas that seem to have marks on the mask, here and here and here, and we can also see a piece that's missing. So we're gonna fix that. And there's also some shine on her here that needs to get rid of. And I'm gonna show you guys how I do a little retouching here to get rid of some things. I'm not going to show you every single thing because that would just be overkill. So here's the patch tool. Now the wonderful thing about the patch tool is what it does is it allows you to take data from another area and put it in the area that you just said please put it in this space. And again, you see it moves data from here over to there. And again, you could do this for hours and hours and hours, getting rid of all these little tiny things. Some of which you will see, some of which you won't see, depending on the size of the photograph. If you blow it up, make it bigger or make it small. And again, the patch tool is a great little thing to use in Photoshop. I'd like to say thank you to whoever invented this. Again, it is just taking information from that area there and it's placing it in that spot. So it just moves data around. And in the process of doing this, it's also blending the surrounding areas so you can't quite tell where it came from. Again, here, little spots. There's tons and tons of little things here that we're going to get rid of. And as I said, I'm not going to do all of these things in front of you guys because once you see me do one of those things, you can pretty much figure out how to do it on your own. See here, push this up, and there we go. Now, in the case of this area, this little area here is missing. So what we're going to do is we're going to move 100% of the information in this little area here to this little area to sort of blend it in so it's not missing anymore. Now I use the clone tool for this, and one of the things that's important is to use the opacity. Now when you use the opacity, it's almost like saying 100% is a brush with the thick paint on it, and bringing it down, let's say 68%, is just watering that amount of information or the paint, whatever it is, however you want to describe it, down so it becomes a little more transparent. And if you look very carefully, you can see that if I pick this area up and drop it down, it doesn't look as heavy as copying that piece and taking over because we're at low opacity. So I'm going to turn it up because I want to use all of that. You can see it's much, much bigger now. And I'm going to use my bracket keys to grab this piece of information. I push down the Option key on a Mac because I'm on a Mac, and I just go down like this until I get rid of all those little pieces like that. Okay, now in areas where you see little things like this, you know, get the little magnifying glass, make them bigger, go back into here, bracket keys again to make it smaller, pick up this little bit of information and take it across here. And then also do the same thing here, and I'm going to do the same thing here. Okay, so if you want something to be slightly transparent and get rid of, you want to bring your opacity down, and I'm going to demonstrate that when I find something that is perfect for me to be able to do that with. Right here you can see more little items that need to be gone. And again, as I said, you could spend hours and hours and hours doing this, making this picture absolutely perfect, and there is a point between where you have to say, okay, enough is enough. So know when to quit doing all your retouching work. Again, this patch tool is a wonderful item. I can just simply bring it over and it blends in and gets rid of all my little marks and things that are on here. Now here, if I use the patch tool, it's going to bleed into this area here because, as I said, the patch tool feathers off. So I'm going to use my clone tool again, and I'm going to very carefully take the information from over here and a little bit from over here. And the idea is you take information from different areas so it doesn't look like it's repetitious. And the reason you don't want to make it look repetitious is because that gives away that you've been retouching. Because if you just move a whole chunk of data from one place to another, it will look as if you've moved it from one place to another, and that will give the game away that you've spent hours and hours and hours retouching, or however long it was. So there you have it. That's how you retouch very, very quickly some of the areas that you find on your photo to be standing out and not being the way you want them to do. Again, here, up here, we can get rid of this little mark simply by going through here. And I want to very carefully do this. I don't, again, you know, I don't want to take every single piece from the same area. I want to use different parts of the picture to take that information and put it where I want to put it so it doesn't have repetition. Now, as I said before in the beginning here, that there's more space on this side and there's less space on this side. And I'm going to show you quickly how we can do that with this wonderful way of doing it in Photoshop. Now the background color, which will be the color that's going to be underneath, is white, so we can see. Now we want to make sure we can see where that is. To do this, and then Command T, and that gives me the little handles to bring this up a little bit, and then I'm going to take it over just a tad like that, maybe a little bit more. There we have it right there. Cancel that out, and as you can see, I've moved it over and we got this nice white space. Now we're going to get rid of this white space by using this wonderful way of doing it. Use this little marquee tool, we go around like this, and we push the delete button, and you can see it says content aware. Now you have other choices if you want to put something else in the front, you know, in that space, in, you know, background, foreground, but we want content aware because we want the computer to say, look at all this stuff here and try to place it in here as best as you can. Copy it if you like. So here we go. Let's see what the computer does. And there you go. I think that's pretty good. Take a little close-up look at that little here, and yeah, there we go. You can't see anything through here, and there's no mark where it is copied over. But of course, I'm seeing tons more marks. You know, it's never ending. You know, you can keep on seeing these things forever. So don't get too carried away. There's still a few areas here where we want to get rid of things. Now here's a prime example of something that I want to get rid of. Right here is a little mark on her boob. And I'm going to bring down the opacity tool, just a little tiny tab, because I don't want to, as I said to you before, take all this information and pop it over here so it just looks like it's moved over. I want to do it lightly. So I'm doing it lightly, and here, lightly, 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 lightly. And that way it doesn't look as if I've just moved all that information from one place to another. Lightly. I think that's pretty good. Right here, a little mark. Just get rid of that. And as you can see, it doesn't look like it's been totally retouched. I think it looks very nice. So we can also see here some red eye, which is produced by a ring light that the camera used. Now let's get rid of this little thing over here while I see it. Yeah, I see all these things that, as I said, I'm not going to spend hours and hours and hours going through every single thing here, but this is just to give you a quick idea of what my eye looks for when I'm doing a retouching job on something. You know, there's all these little spots. Now I'm going to get rid of this little red eye, and I'm simply going to do that by taking this tool here, the lasso tool. I'm going to go around the eye like this, and then I'm going to go through here in my adjustments to desaturate, and it just gets rid of it. See how quickly was that? Around we go. Oh, it doesn't want to go all the way around. There we go. And down here, adjustments, desaturation, and there it is right there. Now I know her eyes are a little bit brighter, so I'm going to put a little bit of brightness in there. And that was a quick way of being able to get rid of the red eye. Okay, so one of the things we're going to be doing now is we're going to put a filter on this, because I think this looks really terrific, but it kind of looks like it's a photograph that's just sort of just a great looking photograph. And I want to turn it into something a little bit more, not necessarily edgy, but just give it a different feeling, almost like bringing it up to more of an artistic something. And I don't use filters all the time, but I use filters every once in a while if I want to just take it up a notch or move it to another little bit of a different direction. And in this case, we're going to be using some Nic Filters. Now, these filters were originally, you had to buy them, and then they became free with Google, and that's when I got the filters, when they were free. And I think now another company has purchased them. You might still be able to surf around on the net and find them, download them for free. If not, you're going to have to buy them, but they come with a whole section. This particular one, Color Effects Pro 4, comes with all these various different things that you can do. I mean, there's really a ton of different things here, but the one we're using right now is called Monday Morning. That's it, Monday Morning. And as you can see, it gives a little bit of a smear to the picture, almost as if it's sort of softening it. Well, it's what it's describing itself as smearing the image. And then you can either add or minus grain. We're going to put 35% grain in there. And I've already played with this this brightness and this low thing here, and I think somewhere around about 15 is giving me the look that I want. And color-wise, I can either add more color back into this image, or I can add less. Now I've got a plan with this filter, because it's going to produce a layer for me. So I'm going to add a little bit of color, but not too much color, just enough to just give me 40% is pretty good. So I've got a kind of a look going on here that I like, and we're gonna add this. Now, as I said to you before, this is going to add it to a complete separate layer, so that it's sitting on top of this particular image. And the great thing about doing this is now I can play with that top layer to add or minus the amount of effect that I want on there. And I really just want to have a sort of a layer over the top. It's almost like the picture's getting tweaked, and I'm putting a wash over it, if you want to call it that way, with the effect. So now we've got a second layer, and as you can see, it looks exactly like it did in the window of the filter. And I'm going to play with this with layers. Now, here are my layers. This is the one that's up above, and again, this is the background that's underneath. So the one up above, it's going to bring down until I get someplace where I kind of like the look, and it's not so much of a photo. So if I go all the way back, it takes it back to the photo. And if I bring it back over here, I'm just adding a little something. And I think somewhere about 70 is pretty good for me. So I like that, and I'm going to flatten that. So now I've got that look that I want going on there. And the only thing I've noticed here is a little bit in this area over here, we're losing just a little bit of it. So I'm going to take my dodge tool here, and I'm just going to kind of lighten up these areas here just to make them stand out just a little bit more. And a few places where I think, like the hair for an example, just bring it up a little bit, because obviously this effect softens things down. So I think that looks absolutely fabulous. Now, if you liked all that and you enjoyed it, you could always pop over to andrefelixphoto.com and check out my blog and get some heads up on some tips and tricks. You can also download a PDF of diagrams and photos and things that I talk about that might be inspiring for you. You can either take an idea right out of my book or come up with something of your own. And if you have subscribed, thank you very much. If you haven't, please subscribe. And all I can say is thanks a lot, and bye for now.